Welcome to the Mental Path Podcast. I'm Dr. Gretchen Gavero. I'm a psychiatrist and therapist, and I'm here to share my personal habits to manage stress and take care of my mental health. I combine medical science, really looking at how the body functions, with psychology and practical personal development strategies to build mental health tools. In our last episode, we talked about perfectionism, how the do it perfectly or don't do it at all mindset drains our energy, creativity, and progress. We also know perfectionism usually comes along with so many other inner voices. If you are pulled in many directions, have lots of goals, and get excited about many projects, chances are you will hear some of these inner critics pop in occasionally. These thought patterns sound familiar and logical, but they quietly sabotage your clarity, confidence, and mental energy. They are so draining. Plus, they usually don't make you feel good about yourself. They drag you down. Today, we're calling out 5 of the most common inner critic voices I hear all the time in my clinic. I'll give you specific ways to challenge, reframe, and interrupt them. Here are the 5 voices we'll be talking about. 1. I'm not good enough or doing enough. 2. The imposter syndrome voice. 3. The one that tells you to just get over it. 4. The can't say no people-pleasing voice. And 5. The what's wrong with me voice. Take a breath. Which voice has already shown up for you today? I'll share thought reframing techniques that I use myself, and trust me, just because I teach this doesn't mean I'm immune to it. I feel the struggle. Let's start. One of the most common critical self-talk that I hear in my clinic is, I'm not good enough or I'm not doing enough. I work with many high-performing people doing amazing things for their families, jobs, and communities, and still, this inner voice always finds its way to their heads, even mine. Med school was probably when this voice was loudest for me. There was a constant comparison between students before all the growth mindset idea was even a thing. I was also going through relationship issues at that time. Thoughts like, I'm not a good enough med student and I'm not a good enough partner brought so much stress to my life at that time. Even now, this voice still peeks in. I have a 12-year-old son, and when we butt heads, thoughts like, I'm not doing enough as a mom, sometimes come up. This never enough voice costs you so much. 1, your rest. These thoughts are mentally and emotionally draining. They trap you in an endless train of thought. Next, your ability to celebrate. Rather than focusing on progress and gratitude, your mind hyper-focuses on justifying this not enough belief. And finally, your presence. You get stuck in your head, missing signals from your environment and connections with people around you. If you look at this through the body-mind-environment lens, here's what happens. In your body, you experience an adrenaline dip causing fatigue, irritability, shallow breathing, and neck tightness. Notice these signals. In your mind, you get caught in looping thoughts about why you're not enough, and there's an urgency bias that forces you to create endless to-do lists that only increase stress. And your environment adds to this with family pressure, internalized success metrics, and cultural cues where rest is seen as laziness or that you're not working hard enough. So what can you do? First, you have to interrupt these patterns. Once you notice bodily signals or not enough thoughts, interrupt immediately. You can say, I've done enough for today. My brain and my body need to recalibrate. You can also create a done list. Create a visual of everything you've accomplished. This gives your brain evidence of your progress, and it feels good to remember these things. Challenge the critical thoughts with questions like, is this thought, I'm not good enough, 100% true? Is it actually helpful right now? Is it necessary or just a habit? When you answer honestly, which is usually no, no, and no, follow up with, what's the next healthy and helpful thing to think about or do right now? It's helpful to always start with regulating your body first. Place your hand on your chest, feel your breath, then ask, what do I actually need in this moment? It's hard to challenge these thoughts when adrenaline is high, so control your body first. For now, take a moment and reflect. Where did you override your body today to meet someone else's expectation or even your own unrealistic expectation? Remember, rest is not earned through exhaustion. You need to have enough rest to recharge for the next action. The second inner critic voice is the imposter voice. You know, that feeling of, I should have figured this out by now. At my job, I teach patients how to feel better all day long. Still, sometimes this imposter voice sneaks in, especially now that I'm putting myself out there on social media and in this podcast. I know these feelings are common when starting something new. I see this voice as a call to revisit your journey and acknowledge why you deserve to celebrate your achievements. When I get butterflies before posting mental health videos or publishing podcast episodes, I remind myself that I've saved thousands of lives, taught hundreds of doctors to be good doctors, and I'm doing important work. That imposter voice doesn't care how qualified you are. It just wants you small and quiet, so don't give it that power. This voice steals your confidence, your willingness to take risks, and your actual voice. When you hesitate, you're not only limiting yourself from building confidence, but you're also keeping others from learning from you. When this critic comes up, it hijacks your nervous system, tight chest, shaky hands, and trouble speaking clearly. In your mind, you fall into catastrophizing, all or nothing thinking, intensifying mistakes. These are thought traps not based on current evidence. And your environment plays a role too. Transitions, promotions, new projects, leadership roles can all trigger this voice. Try these reframing tools. Replace I should know this already with I'm exactly where I need to be in this learning process. Use this to motivate yourself to learn and apply skills. Challenge unhelpful thoughts by weighing all evidence. What's the evidence that I'm not ready? And what's the evidence that I am? Before getting into thought-challenging mode, always regulate first and reframe after. Step away, take 3 grounding breaths, drink water, and return when your body feels safe. Remember, thoughts lead to emotions, which lead to behaviors. Intervene early. If you notice a change in mood like feeling down or anxious, behaviors like isolation, or a change in physical reactions like low energy or heart racing, ask, what am I thinking right now? Then challenge and reframe. Now, where have you been holding yourself back from starting? Not because you're incapable, but because you're scared you're not perfect. Remember, confidence doesn't come before action. Taking action builds confidence. The third voice is the just get over it voice. You know, when you tell yourself, this feeling is hard, just suck it up. In my second year of residency, I lost my stepdad suddenly to a heart attack. That was just 2 weeks after my grandfather died and 1 month after I got into a major car accident. After these losses, I kept showing up at work like everything was fine. It wasn't. I didn't give myself enough space to grieve, and it caught up to me in exhaustion, irritability, and body tension I couldn't explain. When you go through stressful experiences, your body and brain react, and you need to address that. Pushing through costs you emotional release, proper nervous system regulation, and self-compassion. These are too precious to give up. In your body, repressed emotions show up physically. Headaches, digestive issues, fatigue. In your mind, you experience depression, invalidation, and judgment. And your environment reinforces this with high-functioning expectations, cultural narratives, and toxic positivity. Try these reframes. Remember, all emotions are information, not weakness. These are signals your nervous system sends to address something important. I love using metaphors here. Imagine a pot of boiling water. You need to lift the lid to release the steam, or that water will boil over, creating more work for you. When overwhelmed, identify your feelings to help your brain access relevant skills. If you say, I'm sad, or I miss my dad, it becomes easier to recall what helped before. Do a compassion check. Ask yourself, would I tell my dearest friend to just get over it? No, then don't say it to yourself. What emotion have you been pushing down this week? Where in your body are you holding it? Remember, feeling it doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you're finally processing, so just allow yourself to go through that process. The fourth inner critic is the can't say no voice. This one's so common. This one sounds like, if I set a boundary, I'm letting people down. Or, I just have to do it because no one else can. When I first started as a psychiatry attending, I was so excited about so many things that saying yes became my norm. I don't regret those early days. I genuinely enjoyed most of those commitments. But it built an unhealthy habit and saying no became harder with time. Eventually, I started saying yes even to things that clearly didn't fit my schedule or values. Then I'd feel resentful. That wasn't kindness, that was people pleasing, and thankfully I caught it early. This is so common, but this inner voice steals your time, energy, and your integrity. In your body, overbooking leads to fatigue, burnout, and sleep disruption. In your mind, you experience guilt, people-pleasing, self-abandonment. And your environment reinforces this through work culture, upbringing, and caregiver roles. Those are just examples. You can try these reframes. Remind yourself, every yes costs something. What am I saying no to if I say yes to this? You can ask, is this request aligned with what's truly important or necessary right now? Does saying yes make sense to me? Do I feel good saying yes? You can also apply the if and then rule. For me, if it compromises health, family, or recovery time, then it's a no or a reschedule. I love telling myself a clear no is so much kinder and feels so much better than a hesitant yes. Give your no's clearly and early to help others move on to their next options. Here's a quick question. How many times this week have you apologized for something that wasn't actually your fault? That's also a can't say no voice. Remember, your boundaries are healthy. They let you show up fully when you do say yes. The fifth and final inner critic is the what's wrong with me voice. When you ask yourself, why can't I just handle this like everyone else? Early in motherhood, I was just finishing residency. Sleep deprivation and a new parent anxiety was just all over the place. Sometimes I had questions like, what's wrong with me? Even though I was literally exhausted and overwhelmed at that time. This was intense when I felt heavy sadness while pumping milk. But here's what I learned. There's a distinct mood change that happens during milk letdown because of hormonal shifts. Nothing was wrong with me. Our brains are quick to self-judgment, bypassing logical explanations for our experience when this voice is loud. Focusing on this inner voice steals your self-trust, your willingness to seek support, and your sense of shared humanity. Your experience is common and natural most times. We forget that the nervous system has to respond to situations. It creates stress signals to prompt us to act, make changes, and stay safe. In your body, you experience nervous system overload and shame-based shutdown. In your mind, you fall into black and white thinking, self-judgment, and isolation. And your environment reinforces this with unrealistic standards, stigma, and silent suffering. You can try these reframes. Tell yourself, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm carrying something hard and my brain is trying to protect me. Identify automatic negative thoughts, then ask, what would I say to someone else in this situation? What's a more balanced thought that acknowledges both struggle and strength? Reframe what's normal. Real is better than perfect. And try connecting with a community. That's so helpful. Share one small truth with someone safe. It changes everything. Now, where have you been hiding your pain because you think it makes you weak? What can shift if you called it what it is, that you're just being human? Your struggles don't define you. Those inner critic voices aren't facts. The way you respond to them is so important in shaping your experience. Inner critics are thought habits, and thought habits can be rewired. You don't need to win the battle in your head all at once. You just need to interrupt the spiral, and it gets easier with practice, I promise. Thought reframing skills is really a superpower. They can change the course of your life. So, which voice showed up the most for you today? Write it down, choose one reframe, use it this week on purpose. Next week, we're going to talk about bipolar disorder, what it really is beyond the usual stereotypes and how it plays out in everyday life. I'll break things down so you can get a better grip on what it is, whether you're experiencing it or supporting someone who is. A lot of people I've helped have found that just understanding this condition better has made a huge difference in their relationship, and how they see themselves. So don't miss out next week when we tackle this often misunderstood condition with the same practical approach you're used to. Okay, thanks for joining me today. Be kind to yourself and see you next week.